Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Blue Line Sports Cards. So I've gotten some questions recently about how do I get started in sports collecting, and so I decided I've been answering this individually, but I decided to do a video where I could answer some of these questions. And I thought today we would start with protecting your cards. I think this is an important aspect to understand because you can buy the cards, but if you don't take care of them, you'll find that they aren't worth a whole lot other than sentimental value. I think that's the lesson most of us learned who started collecting back in the junk wax era of the 80s and 90s when we bought lots of cards and we threw them in shoe boxes and didn't really take care of them. We took them out, we handled them, we looked at them, we traded them with friends, we played with them, and now some of those cards are worth a little bit of money if they're in perfect condition and ours aren't. So having learned lessons, I try to make sure that I take care of my cards. So let's talk about this. When you open a pack of cards and you pull a card out, that's what we call raw. This would be a raw card, where it's just in its regular condition. It's not in anything protected like this, not graded. So a raw card goes for significantly less than a graded card. And the reason being is you don't know the condition that it's in. So one thing I like to do is I like to put them in these little penny sleeves, is what we call them. I got some right here. You can buy them in, they're nicknamed penny sleeves because that's essentially what they cost. They're about a penny piece. You can buy them in little packs of 100. These card sleeves by BCW. I put my raw cards in a penny sleeve, and then a lot of them I'll put into a top holder. So you got the BCW top loader card holders. Now you can see that they've got different sizes, 20 point, 59 point, 79 point, because cards can be different thickness, and so that's what the point is telling you how thick it is. I've got two different ones here to show you. I don't know if it'll show up in the camera, if it'll zoom in or not, but well, maybe. There you go. You can kind of see that. Well, maybe not. But this one is significantly thicker, so you can put a thicker card. So if you get something like a patch card or something that has some memorabilia in it, it's not going to fit in one of these little thin ones. So you're going to want to put it in something thicker like that. So you can buy different points based on what the card is. Oftentimes when you buy the cards online, you can look and see what the point is for the product that you're buying. So once you have your cards, your raw cards, you put them in the penny sleeve, you put them in a top loader, and you can save them. Now I don't put every card in a top loader because it gets expensive, and I don't put every card in a penny sleeve because that obviously eventually gets expensive. So what I have right here is a cardboard box. Move some of these guys out of the way for now that you can buy, and these are just rookie cards. I don't sleeve everything, but if I just open this up and randomly look, some Gutierrez rookie card. It's probably not ever going to be worth anything, but you never know. Some of these, who the next Hall of Famers are going to be, and if you keep your cards in excellent shape, one day you'll look back and be like, oh yeah, I forgot I had that card. So that's kind of fun. I do that with all of my rookies, rookie debuts. Let's put this right here. So I penny sleeve all of them. If I were to just randomly pull out some of these, like here we go, here's the Jonathan India. I put that one in a top loader. He was Rookie of the Year. He could be pretty good. He's not really been living up to expectations. He's been sent down to AAA again, but I have high hopes in Jarred Kelenic, so I keep his in a top loader as well. So anyway, as you can see here, there's some Topps Now cards. Some people don't consider this a rookie card, but I put it in as a call-up. I like to collect those as well for some of the top players. First Bowman's, also not technically a rookie card, but I put the first Bowman papers and chromes in penny sleeves and a lot of them in top holders. So just the way here's a first edition for the Jason Dominguez. So anyway, cards that could hold value one day, I like to put in these penny sleeves. But that's what is considered a raw card. Okay. Another thing I like to do is with some of these sets, the smaller sets, like that white box right there was for my rookie cards. If you buy cards online, a lot of times they will come in these cases like this. So I'll pull the cards out, go through them, find the ones that I like, and penny sleeve them and top loader, and then the rest, the base cards, I'll go ahead and reuse these. And so I've got a set of Padres here. They're not all Bowman. So this is Update Series here. So anyway, I took a whole bunch of Padres cards, put them all in here, and sealed them back up to keep them, because I will give these away to someone who collects Padres cards. So anyway, I got a box here of Padres cards. So I like to use these boxes that Topps sends for smaller sets. So for example, if I've been collecting some of the, what's a good example? Well, the Top X Aaron Judge that just came out. I've been opening up some of those. So I'm putting all my Top X Aaron Judges back in a smaller box so I can keep them all in one location. So that's kind of reuse boxes. So one thing I want to talk about with these raw cards is you don't know what condition they're in when you're buying them online. That's really important because the condition really changes the value. This right here is the Acuna rookie card. There's some debate about what the true Acuna rookie card is, but many consider the bat down to be his premier rookie card. Now, in a PSA 10, this will go for a significant amount of money, and don't look it up right now because the markets are always changing. But I don't know what condition this is. It's raw, but I have a loop here. It's a 10x magnification, and if you take a raw card, I won't do it with this one because I'm not going to take it back out of the. Let's just grab somebody. Let's grab this guy right here. If you take a raw card and you carefully look at each of the corners, come up and look at each of the corners to see what condition they're in, look at the edges, look at the surface, kind of go back and forth looking for scratches, dents, dimples, any sort of surface errors on them, and then also look for centering. So left to right, top to bottom, is the picture, the image, centered on the card. If the card is off-centered, that really hurts its value. A lot of people, when they look at cards, they're going for aesthetics, and off-centering can be picked up with the naked eye very quickly, and people will say, oh, it's a beautiful card, but it just doesn't look good being off-centered. So that can kill its value. A lot of times, the edges and the corners, you need the magnification to really, because the naked eye will be like, oh, it looks good, and people will send it in, and they'll get a 9 or an 8 back, and they'll be all upset. But if you would take the time to look at it under the magnification, I don't know if this is going to work this way, but where's my camera? It doesn't look like it's going to focus. Anyway, if you take the time to look at them under a 10x magnification, you'll see that there's some damage to it. And you'll go, oh, okay, I see why that got a 9 now. So I can, just with my rough eye, naked eye, I can see that there's a little bit of a corner there. And they don't always have to be perfect to get a 10. If there's just one small little ding that takes magnification to really see it's a soft edge, sometimes different companies will grade them differently. But I don't know that this would gem mint as a 10 with that corner right there. I mean, this isn't a guy who would spend money to send it in anyway. But the point is when you look at your raw cards, you can kind of pre-grade them yourselves and say, okay, this has got some surface issues with it. It probably is not worth spending the money to get it graded. But with this card right here, I don't remember which one it was I saw before, but there's a corner here that I'm just not sure. I don't think it would get a 10. I think it'd get a 9. I'm trying to remember which one it was. All right, so it's this top right corner up here. I'm looking at it through my loop. I can see that there's a little bit of white on that paper, and this one down here, the bottom right, just not quite super sharp. And the other thing is they also look, going back to centering, looking on the back. Sometimes centering will look good on the front. You flip it over and you see centering issues on the back. So anyway, maybe one day I'll send this in and see if I can get a 9 out of it. I don't think it'll get a 10, so I just keep it raw. But it's for my own personal collection, so it doesn't matter to me. If I were ever to try and resell it, a 10 would sell significantly more than the raw would. A 9 may sell more than the raw, depending on the market at the time. So let me talk about grading then, 9s and 10s. We'll see what I'm talking about. So that's a raw card. Here I've got 2 more Acunas from my personal collection, and a 9 and a 10. Now, this is from the company PSA. They're the league leaders in grading, as in they have the highest quantity of cards graded by collectors in baseball cards. And because of that, people trust them the most. Whether that's warranted or not, it is what it is. So PSA has the highest resale value currently out of any of the grading companies. They also are most trusted for kind of like the biggest reason is something called the population count, or the population report. Something that is really important to collectors is knowing how rare a card is. That helps, supply and demand. How much supply there is impacts how the market values it. If there's large demand but there's large supply, then it's not really as high. But if there's large demand and there's limited supply, it costs more. So when PSA grades a card and puts it in a 10, they keep track of it, and you can look up the reports. And maybe one of my episodes, I'll show you how to go about doing that. Do a different one on specifically on pop reports and grading, and more about grading. But knowing how rare a card is helps buyers feel more comfortable spending big money on it. So PSA has the best in-depth, most in-depth pop reports, and so people go off of those, and that's part of the reason why PSA is so popular. But anyway, here we have a 10 and a 9. Okay, this 9 still looks extremely sharp. I can tell with my naked eye that this corner right here has got some white on it. So I don't even need to get my loop out for that. This one right here is just slightly dinged. And again, it got a 9, so it's really, really good. Yep, if you look under the magnification, I can see that up in this corner right here, there's a little bit of white on that corner, and a little bit of a softer edge on this one too. So it doesn't take much. In fact, this is close enough that I wouldn't have been surprised if this had come back as a 10 on a different day. Sometimes the gap between a 9 and 10 with PSA isn't very large, but because of that, the price of this is significantly less than if it was a 10. So you can see with PSA, they consider a 9 their mint, and a 10 their gem mint. And that changes from company to company. BGS, SGC, and PSA have their own different grading scales. And I won't go too in-depth into what those are for this video. But a lot of people like to buy these cards when they're already graded because you have more confidence. Nothing's perfect, but you have more confidence in what it is you're getting. If you buy this online, you don't know from the pictures what these corners are going to look like, or if there's a slight scratch on the surface that you can't tell from the camera angle that the seller took the pictures. So you're running a little bit of a risk. When you buy it when it's already graded, there's still some risk, but there's significantly less because you have a lot more confidence that this card has a resale value in the future that you can look up based off the market of other PSA 10s and what they've resold as. So I like buying graded cards for that reason, if you can't look at them in person. But I also like buying raw because there's a lot of value in raw cards. Especially in the past couple years, a lot of people who know what they're looking for have bought up raw cards and then sent them in to get them graded and then turn around and sell them for more money. And there's a whole bunch of channels that have shown how they've done this, and I think that market is drying up a little bit, so I won't go too in-depth about that. But buying a raw card, getting it graded, and then reselling it as graded is a really good way to make some money in the industry. But you have to know what you're looking for, and you have to know what it is when you buy a card, what you really think it's going to grade as. Because if you expect everything to come back as a 10, and you start sending cards in and paying good money to get an 8 or 9 back, you could lose a lot of money. So anyway, that's PSA 10, PSA 9. I want to talk real quick about SGC because I like SGC. I like the black tuxedo case is what they call them. A lot of people don't. A lot of people just like the PSA and their labels. I like both. So here we've got two Wander Francos. They're both the exact same card. His Bowman Chrome base, his first Bowman Chrome base. And even though they both grade as a gem mint, as you see here, it's got the GM for gem mint. They're both 10s. This sells for significantly more than this one does because, again, PSA right now has just more confidence in the market than SGC does. But that's changing. SGC has been closing the gap on PSA. We'll see what happens. So I think long term, I like to buy SGC, and the reason being is I am not convinced that 20 years from now, 40 years from now, 50 years from now, that there will be a huge gap in value between these two cards. I'm not convinced that the hobby and the collectors 50 years from now are going to care about the name of PSA any more than they care about the name of SGC. part of my thinking on that is SGC has been around a long time, and it has a lot of confidence among the older cards, what we call the vintage cards, the pre-war cards. They grade a lot of the older cards, and they have a lot of trust in the hobby, confidence in the hobby. So the company itself is a legitimate company, just as much as PSA is. And for some reason, people prefer PSA for modern cards. 50 years from now, I don't know that this will no longer be considered a modern card, and SGC's credibility may be on par or greater than PSA in the future. Who knows? But if I can buy two Gem Mint SGC cards for the price of one PSA, or 3 for the price of 2, why not buy them for your own personal collection? So I collect SGC. That's just my own personal thoughts on that. As you can see, though, I clearly buy PSA as well, just depending on whatever I think I can get a good deal on. Now with SGC, the SGC has 2 different 10s, which is unique to PSA doesn't do this. Here you've got the PSA 10 Gem Mint, and here you see we've got a PRI for pristine. So this SGC 10 has a gold label as opposed to the traditional label, just black and white or black and silver. And these are extremely rare, hard to get. In fact, I believe this is a population count of 1 last time I checked it up. So this is the only card in the world that unfortunately it's the holiday version, which not very many people really care about the holiday. But a Topps Ohtani rookie card, and it came from a holiday mega box, as you can see up here, and a pristine 10. So it's the only card in the world for Ohtani's rookie that got a pristine 10 out of 10. So that's kind of what I want to talk about today with graded cards and preserving your own cards versus raw versus having them graded. The other thing I would add, for displaying them, I like to have my cards kind of like this. Here I've got this one in a one-touch. I don't have a bag over it just because I think it displays better, nicer with less plastic, less layers. So on display, I have this one up. When I rotate my cards on display, so here you can see this one. It's in a one-touch. It's in a bag. I'm not displaying this card. I'm just putting it in storage and letting it sit, part of my collection. But it's important, in my opinion, to get these bags because it can protect the surface of your case. If you get a big gash or scratch in your one-touch, people may not be very happy with that because it impacts the aesthetics of the display. So I like to keep them in these bags. In fact, you can actually see with every one of these graded cards right now, I've got them inside a protective bag. Oh, not all of them. This one doesn't have one. I lied. So both of these cards and this Wander, they're all in bags to protect the surface of the slab. This one I actually pulled off my display case, which is why it doesn't have a bag. So there you go. Pretty much that's what I want to talk about today. Last thing is I do recommend the one touches. I like them a lot for higher quality cards that you don't want to be taking in and out of sleeves. They're really, really simple. You open them up, put the card in, close it, and they magnetically snap. They're a little bit more expensive, but I think they make for a nicer display. I think this just looks better in a display than a top loader does. In fact, I should probably have moved my Acuna to the top loader, but I bought it in this, or sorry, I moved it to a one touch, but I bought it in a top loader and I haven't taken it out. So there you go. Let me know if you have any questions and put them in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe and the like button. All right, thank you. Hey, so I think we're going to go into extra innings. I decided to dig through my collection and pull out a couple more things I want to talk about. So I mentioned in my previous part of this video the PSA and the SGC, so I had to grab a BGS. You can see that BGS, they actually can do subgrades on here where they talk about the centering, the edges, the corners, and the surface, right? Get that to focus. There you go. So we got a 9.5 on the centering, which if you look at it, it looks really good until you were to really look closely left to right. The gap here between this edge and of the image and the edge of the card versus the edge of the image and the edge of the card here, so you're left to right, you can see that it's slightly to the right, slightly more space here than on this side. And again, you can flip it over on the back and look, and that can oftentimes help you out as well. And you look top to bottom and say, oh, okay, now I can see that there's less white here than there is here. So it's a little bit top to bottom as well. So This this card it's a nice card, just a little bit issue on the centering, and again, not far. They give it a 9.5. It's really good. It's just not perfect. Corners, they gave it a 9 here. I'd have to go back and see which corner under my loop it is that they decided to be unforgiving on. I don't know. I'd have to pull it out of the bag. Anyway, so one of these corners, at least one of them is not that great. Edges, give it a perfect 10. It's really good. Surface, 9.5. So somewhere on the card, there's something that they didn't like, whether it's a little scratch, a print streak, a dimple, something on there that they found that wasn't perfect. So a 9.5 is what they consider gem mint. Still very, very good quality. But a 9.5, a gem mint would be the equivalent of a PSA 10. So even though this has a gem mint, an equivalent of a PSA 10, this same card in a PSA 10 sells for significantly more than a 9.5 does, for whatever reason. They also, Beckett will also do the autograph here, so they gave the autograph a 10. So thought I'd introduce a BGS. I do have a few BGS, not a huge collector of BGS, but I do like them. Just PSA is so much more readily available. All right, now this one I wanted to pull out of my collection for purpose of showing centering. You can see here, this is very obviously off-centered, and there's no point even sending this in to get it graded, because the centering here, where they got a 9.5 and it's just slightly off. You have to really stop and look at it, because when you just look at the card, it looks nice. It's not till you really kind of analyze that you say, okay, I can see where that's up and down, and look at the back, say, okay, I can see where it's, or sorry, left, right. Now you can see now it's up and down. This one, it just takes a quick glance to say, wow, look at the gap differences on this, and the bottom to the top. There's very off-centered, right? So this card would never grade very well. It's not worth sending in to get graded, but that's okay. This is my personal collection. I was excited to buy this card because 95 and 96 Topps Finest were the two sets that I collected the most as a kid. I absolutely loved Topps Finest. So this 96 Topps Finest Gold of Chipper Jones was a card that I always wanted as a kid, and I kept opening packs trying to find it. So bought it as a single when I could afford it as an adult. So there you have it. A little bit more information on centering, what you're looking for in the card, and also understanding what it is the graders are looking for. Each company does their own thing. Not all companies just look at these four. They don't all release what it is that they look at, but it's kind of the overall value of the card according to SGC. They say they have like 15 or 19 things that they're looking at. Who knows how accurate that is. But at the end of the day, these are the big four that fans know to look for and collectors look for. And yeah.